I've been camping since I was a kid. My dad used to take me up to the forests and state parks every summer, so I'm not exactly a novice when it comes to the outdoors. I know what a bear might look like just from its footprints, and I know the weird screaming noise a fox can make at 2 a.m. I don't get scared easily. But after what happened last October, I don't think I'll even step foot in a state park, let alone go backcountry camping again. It was supposed to be a simple weekend trip, just me and my best friend, Marcus. We decided to drive up to a dispersed camping area up north. For those who don't know, dispersed camping just means you're not in a designated campground. No bathrooms, no fire rings, no neighbors. You just drive down a logging road until you find a clearing, and that's your home for the night. We found a spot around 4 p.m. It was perfect. A small clearing next to a dense patch of pines. We set up my 4-person tent, which was plenty of room for just the two of us, and got a fire going. The evening was exactly what we wanted. We cooked some burgers, drank a few beers, and just caught up on life. Marcus had just gotten a promotion at his IT job, and I was venting about my landscaping business. Normal stuff. We called it a night around 11:30. We put the fire dead out. I'm paranoid about wildfires, so I poured like 3 gallons of water on it until the ashes were cold sludge. We crawled into the tent, zipped up the fly, and unrolled our sleeping bags. I was on the left side, near the door, and Marcus was on the right. I fell asleep pretty fast, but I woke up to the sound of footsteps crunching on the dead pine needles. I checked my phone. It was 2:43 a.m. The footsteps were slow. They weren't an animal's. These were heavy, rhythmic steps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. They stopped right outside the tent, maybe 2 feet from where my head was. My heart immediately started hammering in my chest. I lay perfectly still, listening. Then, I heard Marcus's voice from outside the tent.
"Hey man," he whispered. "Toss me a water bottle. My throat's dry."
I was confused. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, and instinctively reached for the pack of water bottles we kept between our sleeping bags. "Yeah, hang on," I mumbled. I grabbed a bottle and turned to my right to unzip the door and hand it to him. But as I turned, my eyes adjusted to the dark. Marcus was right there, sleeping in his sleeping bag next to me. I looked at him, watching his chest rise and fall. He was fast asleep. I felt a cold shiver go down my spine that I can't even explain. If Marcus was asleep next to me, who was outside asking for water? I sat there, paralyzed, holding the plastic water bottle. The silence stretched for maybe 10 seconds. Then, the voice outside spoke again.
"Hey man, toss me a water bottle. My throat's dry."
It was the exact same tone, the exact same inflection, like a recording being played back. I slowly laid back down, pulling my sleeping bag up to my chin, trying to control my breathing. I didn't answer. I hoped maybe I was dreaming.
"Come on, just open the zip,"
the voice said. That's when I noticed the sound of the zipper on the tent fly. The little metal tab started to jingle. Jingle, jingle, like a finger was flicking it. I kicked Marcus hard in the shin. He groaned and shifted. He mumbled, half asleep.
"What? What is it?"
I grabbed his arm, shushing him, and told him to listen. We both went silent.
"Hey man,"
the voice from outside said.
"Toss me a water bottle."
Marcus's eyes went wide. I could see the whites of them in the darkness. He looked at me, then at the tent wall. He signaled with his mouth and hands, asking,
"Is that me?"
The thing outside let out a sigh. A loud, exaggerated sigh that sounded like a cartoon character.
"Just open the zip, Marcus. Just open the zip."
It used his name. We sat there for what felt like hours, gripping our pocket knives, staring at the thin fabric that separated us from whatever that was. The jingling of the zipper continued for another 20 minutes. Every few seconds, clink, clink. Then, abruptly, it stopped. We heard the footsteps turn and walk away, but they didn't walk back toward the road or the woods. They walked up. We heard the crunching sound change to a heavy thudding sound, and it moved up into the tree directly above our tent. Then, silence. We didn't sleep. We didn't move. At first light, we unzipped the door and sprinted to the truck. We threw everything in the back, didn't even fold the tent, just crumpled it up and tore out of there. When we got home, I unpacked the tent to dry it out. That's when I saw it. On the rainfly, right near the zipper, there were scratch marks. But they weren't from claws. They looked like someone had been picking at the fabric with a dull knife. And covered in the fabric was this thick gray residue that smelled like old copper. I don't know what was in the woods that night, but it had Marcus's voice and somehow knew his name, and it wanted us to open that door.
This happened about 3 years ago in West Virginia. My uncle owns a large property out near the National Forest. It's about 40 acres of dense hardwood forest, mostly oak and maple. He's been hunting there for decades, and he invited me down for the opening weekend of deer season. Now, I'm not a huge hunter, but I enjoy the quiet. There's something peaceful about sitting in a tree stand before the sun comes up, watching the woods wake up. Or at least, I used to think so. We headed out around 4:30 a.m. to get to our stands before dawn. My uncle's stand is near the creek bottom, and mine is up on a ridge, about a half-mile walk from his. It's deep woods, no roads, no noise, just trees. I climbed up into my stand, strapped myself in, and waited. The morning was uneventful. I saw a few squirrels and a coyote that passed through around 7 a.m., but no deer. By 10 a.m., the boredom was setting in. It was very cold, maybe 30 degrees, and my toes were starting to go numb. I was checking my phone, scrolling through downloaded emails, when I heard a twig snap to my left. I slowly put the phone away and raised my rifle. I scanned the tree line. About 80 yards out, I saw movement. It was a deer, a decent size, but the way it was moving was off. Deers are supposed to be graceful. They step lightly, constantly flicking their ears, checking for danger. This thing was jerking. It would take a step, then freeze completely for 10 seconds, then take 3 rapid stomping steps, then freeze again. It reminded me of a video game glitching out. I watched it through my scope. It wasn't eating. It wasn't sniffing the ground. It was just walking in a straight line toward my tree. I took the safety off. I had a clear shot, but something in my gut told me to wait. It was walking with a weird limp, like its front legs were too long for its body. Its knees seemed to bend backward too far. It got to about 40 yards and stopped behind a large oak tree. I could just see its hindquarters. I waited for it to step out. 5 minutes passed. It didn't move. I started to get antsy. I decided to make a bleat sound just to get it to step out. The deer didn't step out. Instead, it slowly peeked its head around the tree. I almost dropped my rifle. Deer eyes are on the side of their head. They're prey animals. They have wide peripheral vision. This thing, its eyes were on the front of its face, like a dog or a human, and they weren't black beads. They were white, just milky white circles with tiny black pupils. It stared directly up at me, not at the tree, at me. I froze. I didn't breathe. We locked eyes for what felt like an eternity. The woods were dead silent. No birds, no wind. Just me and this thing staring at each other. Then it did something that made me physically nauseous. It stepped out from behind the tree, but it didn't walk on all fours. It reared up on its hind legs, slowly, like a person standing up from a chair. Its spine straightened out with a sickening cracking sound, like dry branches breaking. It stood there on 2 legs, naked, covered in patchy brown fur that looked like a mangy suit. Its front legs, its arms, dangled down past its knees, ending in hooves that looked more like fused fingers. It was tall, maybe 7 feet. It just stood there, swaying slightly in the breeze, staring at me with those forward-facing eyes. It opened its mouth and its jaw unhinged, hanging almost to its chest. It let out a sound. Not a sound I have heard any deer make. This was like something that was taken out of my nightmares. I still can't explain it properly. I didn't shoot. I couldn't. My hands were shaking so bad I thought I'd fall out of the stand. I just huddled in the seat, praying it wouldn't climb the tree. It took a step toward me, then another, Its movements were still jerky, mechanical. Beads of sweat were freezing on my forehead. I had to do something. I closed my shaking arms around my rifle and shot straight at its head. The gunshot echoed through the forest. The bullet missed since I couldn't get any proper aim. The thing's head snapped toward where the bullet hit. In a blur of motion, it dropped back to all fours and sprinted. But it moved wrong. It galloped like a horse, its back arching unnaturally high. It disappeared into the thicket in seconds, but I could still see its milky eyes in the bushes, waiting for me. I stayed in that tree stand for 3 hours. I didn't move until I saw my uncle walking up the ridge looking for me. When I climbed down, my legs were so jelly I collapsed. I told him I saw a bear and got scared. I didn't tell him the truth. He'd think I was crazy. But that night, as we packed up the truck to leave, I saw something on the edge of the property, just outside the reach of the porch light. 2 milky white eyes reflecting the light about 7 feet off the ground.
I haven't been hunting since then.
If you enjoyed this story, if it creeped you out even a little, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you think. You can check out other stories about haunted places, real encounters, and Home Alone horrors with the links here, or from visiting my channel. The Yaksha Files will be back soon with another case.